Hello, breathworkers around the world. My name is Klaus, and I'm a breathwork nerd from Denmark. And I like to measure my breathwork. And what I, the reason why I do the breathwork is there's all the physical benefits, which are all very good, but I really like the mental benefits, what it does to your mind and what it does to your mindset when doing your breathwork. And these things can be hard to measure, but I found a way. I used this device, which you may know. It's called Muse. It's a meditation headband. It measures your brain waves with the sensors right here connected to the app, and it tells you what you do to get into a meditative state. I connected it to a different app, which doesn't tell you anything other than it records your brain waves, and then you can write out a graph like this, and you can see how the brain waves go while you do whatever you do. So I have my own breathwork routine. It's a little bit of a mixture of Buteyko and Wim Hof and Rebirthing and all the major breathwork techniques that are out there. And I did my routine while measuring my brainwaves with this one. And what came out of it is the graph you see right here. So, in the beginning of my session, I do a very slow form of breathing, which is Buteyko inspired. 10 seconds in, 10 seconds out. Hold your breath for as long as you can. In my case, maybe 30, 40 seconds. You become very hypercapnic, a lot of CO2 in your blood, hypoxic, low oxygen level, going into the mammalian diving response. And what you see in the brainwaves right here is the blue line goes up, stays up consistently. The red line goes down, stays down consistently. The other ones are more or less the same level. The red line is the delta waves, the slowest form of brainwave you can have without being dead, of course. You see that usually in unconscious states of mind, very deep sleep. The brain is totally relaxing and actually recovering, restoring itself in that state of mind. The other one, the blue line, are the alpha waves. And alpha waves are the slowest form of brainwave you have while actually being fully awake and fully aware. So fully awake, fully aware, but relaxed and focused. You see that oftentimes in consistent meditation. People who are able to stay in that meditative state consistently are able to produce a lot of alpha waves. And in my breathing technique, the slow hypercapnic breathing techniques, you also see that the alpha waves, comes up and stays up very consistently. I've for the sake of testing, I've tried this one out while doing other tasks, everyday tasks, reading, playing music, and what you see in ordinary everyday life is that the brain waves come up and down. Theta comes up, beta comes up, alpha comes up, delta comes up. Things come up and down all the time. This is a normal. This is really a very consistent picture. This is the most consistent picture of brainwaves I've ever been able to produce is while I'm doing my breathwork routine. And so you see in the hypercapnic part of my breathwork, high alpha waves, low delta waves. I'm awake, I'm relaxed, and those of you who've done those kinds of techniques know the trancy state of mind that you're in while being fully awake. And maybe you can recognize this picture and the description of the brain waves that goes along with the trancy state of mind that you get into when you're doing hypercapnic techniques. So I'll move myself over here because I need to talk about the shift. You see a very radical shift right here. The red line comes up. The blue line comes down from being very consistently high to being very consistently low. The red line, the delta waves, from being very consistently low, comes up to being very consistently high. And also the purple line also has a very clear swing to it. It comes up. The purple line are the theta waves. It's like when you doze off into sleep, usually you see a lot of theta waves. Also, when you're in the dream state and dreaming at night, there's a lot of theta waves. Also, sometimes you see it in very deep meditation. People can produce theta waves. It's usually not in an awakened state of mind. It's on a semi-dosed off state of mind. You see those, and those come while I'm hyperventilating, and that was a little peculiar to me, because all of you who have been hyperventilating, doing hyperventilative techniques, know that you become very alert when you do that. So why are the slow brain waves so high? I talked to a friend of mine who's a neurologist, and they see the same patterns when they scan patients in hospitals in the real medical grade gear. They also ask them to do hyperventilation because it gives a different picture of the brainwaves. And they also see the delta waves come up and staying up consistently. So this is all due to when you hyperventilate, maybe you know this, you get rid of all the CO2 in your blood. Your blood becomes hypocapnic. You get a lot of oxygen in. What the hypocapnic element means is that your blood becomes a little bit alkaline, and alkaline blood contracts the blood vessels, and in the brain that happens from the outside towards the center, because that's the way the big arteries are in the center of the brain, and the small ones are in the outside. So your brain sort of shuts down from the outside towards the center. And the brain is actually, your higher cognitive functions are usually located on the outside in the cortex towards the skull, and not so much in the center. The center is more like the limbic system, emotional stuff. So when you hyperventilate, your higher cognitive functions, such as logic, reasoning, thinking, language, go away or doze off, take a pause. And my sensation when I hyperventilate is probably maybe the same as yours, is you feel very energized, but it's also really hard to count your breaths. It's almost impossible to count 20 breaths. I keep losing track of where I am. The logic thinking, the reasoning, the higher cognitive functions are basically shut down while you hyperventilate. And this is what you see here, the delta waves, the very slowest form of brainwave you can have without being dead. It's very high consistently. And also the theta waves comes up, which is like the second slowest form of brainwave you can have. And also the green line, which I haven't talked about yet, that's the beta waves. That is sort of the brainwave you have in ordinary everyday life, task solving, everyday state of mind, going from this to that, doing your mind jumping all around, attention shifting all the time. Comes down also consistently while you hyperventilate. And after the red line has been up for a while, comes down, you see the same pattern as before. Delta waves come down, alpha waves come up, theta waves, the purple line, come down, the second slowest brainwave, and the beta wave comes up, the green line, the ordinary thinking. That is when I do my breath holds. So it comes to look a little bit like when I do the hypercapnic technique here for a little while, and that is of course because when you do a breath hold, your CO2 levels come up, you become hypercapnic again, your blood vessels in the brain open up. There's a lot of stuff happening when you hold your breath or have a lot of CO2 in your blood. A lot of stuff happens in your brain. And then, let me point in the right direction here. And then I do more like a Wim Hof by the book, which is like 1-2-ish minutes of hyperventilation, and then breath holds on empty lungs and on full lungs. And then I discovered that after having done this, you can actually go into an extremely slow form of breathing, which is 20 seconds in, 20 seconds out, holding your breath for a minute, 1.5 minutes-ish. And this is, a lot of stuff happens here in my mind. It's not so much reflected in the brainwaves. I get very trancy. I get a lot of tingling all over the place. But what you can see in the brainwaves is actually the waves, the curves actually moving in the same pattern as I'm breathing in and breathing out. So when I'm breathing in, coming back towards ordinary, the lines are coming towards each other. When I'm breathing out, holding my breath, is actually when the alpha wave goes up and the delta wave go down. And so this is following the same rhythm as the curves are following the same rhythm as my breathing. So I hope you had as much fun watching this as I had making it. I kind of like doing all these nerdy observations of what breathwork does to you. And if you're still with me in this video, thank you very much for watching. And if not, maybe see you some other time. But in any case, thank you for being with me, and have fun out there and keep breathing and take care and be very well. Bye.